Believed to have been born in Haiti, Jeremiah Hamilton became the nation's first black stockbroker. He amassed what would be about $250 million today back in the 1800s, but he also gained the nickname Prince of Darkness because of his shady business deals and also because of his refusal to do business with black people. Well, that is, unless he was taking advantage of them. I want to thank everybody for joining me for today's lesson. I'm Lady TrenettWilson, your lecturer and social historian, and I want to welcome you to Royal Black and Elite. Hello, Royalers. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's lecture. And if this is your first time, welcome also. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button and leave me some comments about today's class. I think you're going to find this ruthless businessman who ruled the New York finance world very interesting because we've never heard of him. And I think we'll discover why as we uncover his life. Now, we should have heard of him because he was so big, he even sued Cornelius Vanderbilt. So there are no surviving pictures of this man, so no one has ever seen him on a photo. So the photos that I have here are just from the old days and kind of what the business world in New York looked like from those days, but there is no surviving picture. Now, during our lecture, I do believe we will discover a lot about his life that may be why his story hasn't been told. The first and foremost reason is because he denied his blackness completely. He chose only to do business with Europeans, and again, like I said, only if he was taking advantage of blacks. So it's believed that he was born in Haiti around 1806 or 1807. James McEwen Smith, who was the nation's first doctor, black doctor, I left a link down below for you. He said he was a millionaire. So he was undoubtedly a very rich man, but he came from humble beginnings. Some rumors were that he was born in Virginia to a free people, but I do believe and tend to believe the Haiti story because the first time we see a record of him was him hiding from Haitian authorities. You see, he had been caught transporting fake coins to Haiti, and he was doing it for New York merchants. So they were looking for him, and this was 1828. He had to hide for 14 days in order to escape from the Haitian authorities who was looking for him in order to unalive him. He had ripped off the people of Haiti. Now these were black people. He was black himself, but he escaped, and it was 1828, and he began to do business in New York. Of course, he already had money because he had $5,000 of those fake coins when he arrived in New York. And he had relationship with New York merchants who he had been doing business with and stealing for. So that's where his money came from initially. So that's how it began. Now, by the 1830s, now living in New York, he was once again taking advantage of black people. And why that? Why do I say that? Because in 1835, New York had something called the Great Fire of New York. It was horrendous. It was on the edge of Manhattan, and it really destroyed a lot of people's homes. Well, many black people were displaced as a result of that. If you're a member, you'll be able to see an in-depth look at the New York fire, the Great Fire, and how it impacted black communities. But here comes Mr. Hamilton. He swooped in and he bought up these people's property, not only just black people, but white people's properties also for pennies on the dollar, making about $5 million at that time. So he was there taking advantage, buying up all this land, and so he was a big landowner. He was also trading stock on Wall Street. He was, in essence, the first black person to have a hedge fund. So people would invest in the stocks that he was buying and they would make money from it. Now, he would also sue a lot of people too. So that's how he ended up suing Cornelius Vanderbilt for the control of the accessory transit company. And so he would sue the companies that he was trading on the stock market. So this man had a lot going on, but he had a lot of business sense. A very, I guess, astute man. And of course, sitting around people who run these types of businesses, you learn some things. And so he learned some things. So his money was in lawsuits, in real estate, and in the stock market. But let me tell you something. He would not sell or do business with black people. So he did not allow them to invest in his real estate or in his stocks. So they could not take advantage of his many financial windfalls, excuse me, from making the money that he was making. I think too, he was born in Haiti. And so he didn't experience, I believe, the black experience as we did, as far as slavery. So for him to come over here, and this be the 1830s, which means slavery was still happening, and he was not a slave. So I don't think he felt the kinship to American blacks, and he didn't feel an obligation to make sure that they were financially secure. And the other reason I believe that to be so, because when he got married, he actually married a white woman. Her name was Eliza Jane Morris, and the couple had 8 children. Now, I said that his legacy passed when he passed, and we'll get into that a little later in the lecture. But if he had 8 children and he was married, why no one ever heard of this man? Why aren't there plaques at Wall Street for all the millions that he made all of these white people? I do believe it is because black people are the ones who keep black history alive. Every time you tune in to Royal Black and Elite, and y'all don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe, because when you do that, especially when you comment, it helps it go through the algorithm and it gets pushed up as something people want to hear about and learn about. And so when we do this, you support our stories being told. This man's story isn't being told. Again, my opinion only, allegedly, and these are just my thoughts. But I believe it's not being told because he wasn't married to a black woman and because he didn't do business with black people. So, in essence, instead of building the black community, he built the white community and he left his millions to the white community. So, I believe that's why his story hasn't been told. And I'm telling it because he is a man worthy of knowing, because his business led him to be a multimillionaire. When he passed, he was worth $250 million in today's terms. So it's worth telling this story and also taking some letting it be a cautionary tale to black people that when you do not allow your money to stay within the black community, your black story is not told. So with that, him and Jane were married. And listen, y'all, this man bought her a house in New York that sat on 270 acres. It had 10 bedrooms, a terrace, and even a fishing pond. Hamilton had completely erased his blackness. And there's never any stories of him going back and building homes in Haiti. So he didn't have any love for American blacks or his own people in Haiti. And so much so, I told you he had concocted a story that he was actually born in Virginia to free slaves. So he was a mess. Now, listen though. He got his Negro wake up call. And we who are black understand what a Negro wake up call is. It came in 1863 during the New York race riots, and some Irish people broke into his house and tried to unalive him. Now, it didn't matter if he had $1 million, $1 billion, or $2. He had the skin that they were looking for, which was black skin. And because of this, he ran out the back door. They didn't even know he was there. His wife said he's not there. So she did protect her millions. And the reason I say it like that, because if she really loved her husband, she would have kept his legacy alive. It was about the money for her, in my opinion, once again. So allegedly, he ran through the back door and he jumped over a fence and he ran away and escaped and lived another day again to amass his wealth so that the white people could spend it. And so he ran away, jumped over the fence, and he lived, a millionaire during this time period. It's just wow. So by the time Hamilton passed, he had was worth $2 million again, worth 250 million, and he passed on May 19th, 1875, of pneumonia, leaving unimaginable wealth. Though we don't know him today. So, given his disconnect from the black community, and of course his wife's obvious disconnect from the black community, they lived as white people after he passed away. So, the first black stockbroker was Jeremiah Hamilton, also known as Jerry, but most people have never heard of him. But his business acumen, without a doubt, he was a cutthroat businessman. He fit right into Wall Street at the time. So I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson. I thank you all for joining me, taking some time out of your busy schedule. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember that my lectures are always for entertainment and educational purposes only. And the Fair Act use is in my description and also in effect. I also want to just want to hear what you have to say. Leave the comments down below. What do you think? Do you believe my assessment that perhaps his history is not known because of who he married and how he lived his life and the business dealings that he did? Let me know. Now, keep on learning. I have some other great videos where you can learn some more about our Black history. And I thank you for joining me for another great episode of Royal Black and Elite.